when you go to see your horses, that it's a very calming, collecting point where everything else just sort of disappears and you can focus on that one thing. And it really brings you back down to earth because you're there, you're mucking out with the horse poop and all the rest of it. And you're making hay and you're feeding them and all those things. It's so good for the soul. And I don't know whether you know this, but just after my father's mother passed away, was when he actually first connected with horses.
Here we are.
Yeah. So what actually happened was that he was already a child actor, as you know, on the stage, and when his mother passed away, he had a kind of rebellion, in the same way some kids would say, I want to be an actor or a musician, and their parents would say, no, you've got to be a doctor. And he said, I don't want to be on the stage, I don't want to do this, I want to go and ride horses. And they thought about it, and they thought, well, you know what? Your father's not in great health, and your mother's passed away, and maybe you need something to fall back on. So this is when his father wrote a letter to the racing stables, and actually, said, could you take my son? He's interested in becoming an apprentice jockey. The only contact he'd ever had with horses before that was watching horse races on the television, or reading about them. He'd never touched a horse, smelt a horse, seen a horse. So this was a very kind of brave and strange move. He came from a city, an industrial city. It was completely removed from that environment. Luckily enough for him, they accepted him, and his trainer Basil Foster took him under his wing. And I think what I realised after actually watching some footage that somebody gave to me of Dad was that when he turned up at the racing stables, he was a little boy who had lost his mummy. And he was grieving in the same way that we've been grieving, and all of you have been grieving. And he healed through his love of horses. He didn't learn to ride, he got better. And he grew in his heart and in his soul, and it empowered him. Learning to ride empowered him, and he grew. And what is so uncanny and like a sort of stroke of magic, it was meant to be, his trainer Basil Foster took him aside one day and said, now listen, David, are you really going to shovel horse poop for the rest of your life? Or are you going to get out there and use the talent that God gave you?